The air inside the orbital sanctuary felt too quiet, like the universe itself was holding its breath. Vast windows showed a dead star outside, dark and cold, its light long gone. Inside the great chamber, hundreds of beings sat in curved tiers of metal and crystal. They had gathered to judge a life. At the center of the hall stood Valerix. She was a mother dragon, her scales dull instead of shining, her wings folded tight as if they were broken memories. In her arms she held her child, small for their kind, wrapped in a faint glow that flickered like a dying lamp. Each weak pulse of light made her heart twist with fear. Valerix lowered her head before the council. Her voice trembled, but it did not break. "My child is fading," she said. "Not from age. Not from battle. From imbalance. I beg you. Help him." The council members did not move. They watched her as one might watch a strange object floating in space. Some were tall and thin, others wide and shining with metal skin. Their eyes glowed with knowledge, data, and long years of power. One of them finally spoke. "The energy cost is too high. The child is not vital to galactic stability." Another added, "Your species is no longer central to interstellar balance. Resources must be preserved." Valerix tightened her grip. "He is not a resource," she said softly. "He is my son." The child stirred weakly. The glow around him flickered again, then dimmed. A low sound escaped Valerix's throat, not a roar but something closer to a sob. She stepped forward, claws scraping the polished floor. "If you will not heal him, then at least guide me. Tell me what to do." Silence answered her. The council leader rose slightly from his seat. "The decision is final. The child's condition is unfortunate. You may leave." The words fell like stones. Valerix stood frozen for a moment, as if her body could not accept what her ears had heard. Then her wings sagged. She turned slowly, each step heavy as if the gravity in the room had doubled. As she walked out of the grand chamber, no one followed. No one spoke her name. No one looked back. The corridors beyond the council hall were colder and narrower. Lights flickered overhead. This was not a place of judgment or glory. It was a place meant to be forgotten. Valerix's strength finally failed her. She sank near a wall, sliding down until she sat on the floor, curling around her child to shield him from the cold metal. Her breath shook. She pressed her forehead gently against his. "I tried," she whispered. "I tried everywhere." The child's glow faded to almost nothing. Far down the corridor, a soft hum echoed. Footsteps followed, slow and steady. A human in plain work clothes pushed a small cleaning unit ahead of him. His name was Aaron Hale, and his job was to care for places no one else noticed. Aaron almost walked past. Then he felt it. A strange pressure in the air, like static before a storm. His cleaning unit beeped softly, reacting to energy it could not explain. Aaron frowned and looked up. That was when he saw them. A massive dragon curled protectively around a tiny glowing form, her wings trembling. The light from the child pulsed weakly, and with each pulse, Aaron felt a quiet ache in his chest. He stopped. Humans were taught not to interfere. Dragons were above his rank. Councils were beyond his place. But something in that weak glow felt familiar. Like an engine about to burn out. Like a system pushed too hard, too fast. Valerix sensed him and lifted her head. Her eyes locked onto Aaron's. They were filled with pain but also sharp awareness. She did not move. She did not threaten him. Aaron swallowed. His voice came out quiet. Is he sick?" Valerix studied him, this small human with no armor, no symbols of power. "He is dying," she said. "Because no one believes he is worth saving." Aaron stepped closer without thinking. He knelt, careful not to startle her. "May I look?" The dragon hesitated. Every instinct told her not to trust another being from this place. But the council had already turned away. What harm could one human do? She shifted slightly, allowing him to see the child. Up close, Aaron could feel the energy rolling off the small body in uneven waves. It was not empty. It was overflowing, trapped, with nowhere to go. "It's not decay," Aaron murmured. "It's overload." Valerix's breath caught. "That is what I told them." Aaron's hands trembled, but his eyes were focused. Machines fail like this when they're given too much power before they're ready. You don't cut the power. You guide it. Slow it down. The dragon stared at him. "You speak as if life is something you fix with patience." Aaron met her gaze. "That's how humans survive." Alarms began to sound faintly in the distance. Unauthorized presence detected. Aaron knew he should leave. He knew this moment could cost him everything. But he looked at the child again. "I can't promise I'll save him," Aaron said. But I promise I won't walk away. Valerix lowered her head just slightly. A gesture of trust. In a forgotten corridor near a dead star, while the galaxy looked elsewhere, fate quietly shifted. The maintenance sector was never meant to hold life. It was built for quiet machines and slow repairs, far from the bright halls of power. Thin lights hummed above, casting long shadows across metal walls. In this forgotten place, a human custodian named Terran Vox moved with careful steps, guiding a floating tool cart beside him. Behind him followed a great shape. The mother dragon, Rixera, moved slowly, her wings folded tight to avoid scraping the walls. In her arms lay her child, Luneth, wrapped in a weak, uneven glow. Each pulse of light came late, like a heart unsure if it should keep beating. Rixera watched Terran closely. She had trusted him once, and that choice could still end in loss. But he had not walked away when others did, and that mattered more than rank or species. Terran stopped at a sealed chamber marked for storage. "This room is old," he said quietly. "No one comes here. The sensors are weak. We will not be disturbed." Rixera lowered her head. "If they find us, they will take him." Terran nodded. "I know." He opened the chamber and guided them inside. The room was bare, wide, and dim. Terran powered down several systems with a few quick movements. The air grew still. The constant hum of the station faded to a low whisper. Rixera settled carefully on the floor, curling around Luneth. Terran knelt nearby, his small size clear next to her massive form. Yet fear did not guide his hands. Focus did. He unpacked simple tools from his cart. Old human devices. Nothing advanced. Nothing impressive. Rixera watched with confusion. "These are not healing instruments," she said. "They're not," Terran replied. "They're balance tools." He activated a handheld reader. It flickered, then beeped in uneven tones. Terran frowned slightly. "His energy is too fast," he said. "Like a river with no banks." "That is what the elders feared," Rixera said. "They said he was unstable." Terran shook his head. "Unstable is not the same as broken." Luneth let out a faint sound. The glow around his body flared suddenly, then dimmed even more than before. Rixera stiffened, panic rising. "He is slipping," she said. "I know," Terran said calmly. "Stay with him. Talk to him." Rixera lowered her head and began to speak in a low, steady voice. She spoke of warm skies and open space. She spoke of flying together one day. Her words trembled, but she did not stop. Terran adjusted his tools. He placed small field anchors around Luneth, setting them to release energy slowly instead of blocking it. Sweat formed on his brow as the devices struggled to keep up. "This is dangerous," he whispered. "If I'm wrong?" "You will not leave," Rixera said. "No," Terran agreed. "I won't." Hours passed. Outside the chamber, the station continued its routines. No alarms yet. No footsteps. Inside, Terran stayed awake, eyes red, hands steady. Each time Luneth's glow spiked, Terran adjusted the flow. Each time it weakened, he waited instead of forcing it. Rixera watched in silence. She had seen doctors rush and scholars argue. None had ever waited like this. At one point, Terran's reader went dark. "Power loss," he muttered. He removed his own energy pack and connected it to the device without pause. Rixera stared. "That feeds your suit." "I can manage without it," Terran said. "He can't." The room grew colder. Terran shivered but did not complain. Luneth's glow steadied, becoming softer, more even. For the first time, Rixera felt something loosen inside her chest. "He is not fading," she said quietly. Terran smiled faintly. "He's learning to breathe." Suddenly, distant voices echoed through the corridor. Metal footsteps. Scanners humming. Rixera's wings tensed. "They are searching." Terran did not look away from Luneth. "Then we stay quiet." The voices passed by. Sensors flickered, then moved on. The chamber remained untouched. Minutes later, Luneth's eyes opened. They were bright, clear, and aware. A gentle wave of warmth spread through the room. The anchors hummed softly, no longer strained. Luneth released a small, curious sound and turned his head toward Terran. Rixera froze, then slowly exhaled. A sound escaped her that was half laugh, half cry. "He sees you," she said. Terran felt his throat tighten. "Hey there," he whispered. Luneth's glow pulsed once, steady and calm. Rixera lowered her head until it touched the floor. Not in submission but in gratitude. "You did what the galaxy would not." Terran shook his head. "I just stayed." Rixera looked at him, then truly looked. "Humans are small," she said. But you do not abandon what depends on you. In a forgotten chamber hidden from power and pride, a child lived because one custodian refused to walk away. The station did not stay quiet. Deep within its systems, alerts began to form like ripples in dark water. Energy readings shifted where no shifts were expected. Ancient sensors, long ignored, started to report steady growth instead of decay. The numbers did not scream danger. That made them more alarming. In a sealed maintenance ring, the mother dragon Kilithra rested with her child curled close to her chest. The child, Orevan, no longer flickered like a dying star. His glow was soft and even, slow as calm breathing. Each pulse filled the chamber with gentle warmth. Near them sat a human custodian named Merrick Soul, his back against the wall, eyes half open from lack of sleep. Tools lay scattered around him, simple and worn. He watched the readings carefully, ready to adjust, but for the first time since this began, there was nothing urgent to fix. Kilithra lifted her head. "The air feels different," she said. Merrick nodded. "The station knows something has changed." As if answering his words, a low chime echoed through the corridor outside. Then another. Footsteps followed. "Heavy," ordered. Kilithra's wings tensed. "They have found us." Merrick stood slowly. His legs ached, but his voice stayed steady. "They were always going to." The chamber door hissed open. 3 figures entered, tall and sharp-edged, their bodies wrapped in polished armor that reflected the soft glow of Orevan's light. Their eyes moved quickly, scanning the room, the dragon, the child, the human. One of them spoke. "Unauthorized life containment. Step away from the subject." Kilithra curled her body tighter around Orevan. "No." Merrick moved forward, placing himself between them and the child. He did not raise his hands. He did not bow. He simply stood. "He is stable," Merrick said. "You were wrong." The armored figures paused. One raised a scanner and aimed it at Orevan. The device hummed, then displayed steady readings. "No collapse. No failure." "That is impossible," one said. "You didn't wait," Merrick replied. "You tried to control what needed time." The lead figure stepped closer. "Human, your role is maintenance. This life form now qualifies as a high-value anomaly. He will be transferred for study." Kilithra's eyes burned. "You will not touch my child." Merrick felt fear rise in his chest, cold and sharp. He knew what stood behind their calm voices. Authority. Force. Final orders. But he also knew what he had seen. "He reacts to balance," Merrick said. "To calm. If you take him, your machines will push him again. He will break." The lead figure turned its gaze on Merrick. "You assume much for one without standing." Merrick nodded. "I do. Because I stayed when you left." The room fell silent. Orevan stirred. His glow brightened, not in panic but in awareness. A gentle wave of energy rolled outward, brushing against armor, walls, and sensors. The scanners in the figure's hands flickered. They stepped back. Kilithra felt it and lowered her head toward her child. "Easy," she whispered. "You are safe." Merrick watched the readings spike, then settle again, smooth and controlled. "See," he said. "He listens." The figures exchanged silent signals. This was no longer a dying child. This was something rare. "The council must be informed," one said. "They already ignored him," Merrick replied. "They will do worse now." A new voice filled the chamber, calm and distant. "Stand down." A projection formed near the ceiling. A council observer, pale and unreadable, looked down on the scene. "We have monitored the data," the voice said. "The child's condition has reversed." Kilithra lifted her head. "Because you failed him." The observer did not deny it. "Human Custodian, explain." Merrick took a breath. His hands shook, but he spoke clearly. "He was overloaded, not weak. You tried to drain him. That hurt him. I slowed the flow. I stayed close. I waited." The observer was silent for a long moment. "Your methods lack efficiency." "They have care," Merrick said. Another pause. "The child now emits Guardian-class signals," the observer said. "Such beings alter star routes and system balance. This changes his value." Kilithra's claws scraped the floor. "My son is not valuable because of what he can do," Merrick added quietly. "He was worth saving before you knew that." The observer's image flickered. Data streams flowed behind its eyes. Finally it spoke. "Intervention is suspended," it said. "The child will remain under current conditions for further observation." Kilithra's breath released in a long, shaking exhale. The armored figure stepped back and exited without another word. When the chamber door sealed again, the room felt smaller, heavier. "They will return," Kilithra said. "I know," Merrick replied. "But they'll be watching now. That gives us time." Orvin opened his eyes fully. They were bright and calm. He looked at Merrick, then lifted his head slightly, curious. Merrick smiled despite everything. "You caused quite a problem," he whispered. Orvin's glow pulsed once, warm and steady. Outside, across the station, reports spread. A dying dragon child had stabilized. A human custodian had interfered. The council's certainty had cracked. And the galaxy, which had once turned away without pause, had begun to notice. The chamber felt different now. Not quieter, but heavier, as if the walls themselves were listening. The mother dragon Sarenth lay coiled near the center of the room, her wings relaxed but ready. Her child, Aelin, rested against her chest, glowing with a steady light that no longer flickered in fear. The glow was calm, wide, and deep, like a young star learning its place in the dark. Nearby stood a human custodian named Jonas Cade. His uniform was worn, his hands marked by years of simple work. He had not slept much. He had not left the chamber since the council's observers withdrew. He stayed because leaving felt wrong. Outside the chamber, the station shifted. Council signals crossed each other. Old rules met new data. The child's presence was changing things far beyond this quiet place. Navigation systems adjusted without command. Energy flows smoothed themselves. Nothing dramatic. Nothing violent. Just balance. That frightened the galaxy more than chaos ever had. The door opened again, slowly this time. No armored guards entered. No scanners were raised. Instead, 3 council envoys stepped inside, their movements careful, their voices low. They carried no weapons. Only authority. Sarenth lifted her head, eyes sharp. "You have returned," she said. "Yes," one envoy replied. "Because the situation no longer fits our records." Jonas stepped forward without thinking. "He's not a situation." The envoy looked at him. "You continue to speak out of place." Jonas met its gaze. "Then move me." "I'm not stepping away from him." Sarenth felt something tighten and then ease inside her. She shifted slightly, allowing the envoys to see Aelin clearly. The child opened his eyes. Light spread across the chamber, soft and wide. It did not push. It did not burn. It simply existed. The air felt lighter. Even the envoys paused, their breathing slowing. "This is not a weapon," one whispered. "No," Sarenth said firmly. "He is a child." The lead envoy raised a small projection. Star maps appeared, showing routes adjusting on their own. His presence stabilizes regions without force. Entire systems respond to him. Jonas shook his head. "That doesn't make him yours." The envoy studied Jonas for a long moment. "You risk much for a being not your own." Jonas answered simply. "That's when it matters most." Silence followed. Then one envoy spoke words no human custodian had ever heard. "The council must choose." Sarentha's wings tensed. "Choose what?" "Whether to claim the child as an asset," the envoy said, "or recognize him as a life beyond our control." Jonas felt his heart pound. He stepped closer to Sarenth and Aelin, standing clearly between them and the council's claim. "If you take him," Jonas said, "you'll turn balance into pressure. You'll break what makes him whole." The envoys exchanged looks. Data flowed between them, fast and silent. Aelin lifted his head and looked directly at the lead envoy. His glow pulsed once, slow and calm. The projection flickered, then changed. The maps softened. The hard lines faded. The envoy lowered its hand. "We see it now," it said. "He is not meant to be directed." Sarentha's breath caught. "Then say it." The envoy nodded. "The council withdraws all claims. The child is granted protected existence. No study. No command." Jonas felt his knees weaken. He did not fall. "And the human?" another envoy asked. "He disrupted council order." Jonas opened his mouth to speak, but Sarenth moved first. "He stays," she said. "He saved my child when you turned away." The envoys considered this. Finally the lead one spoke. "The human will be recorded not as custodian, but as guardian present." Jonas blinked. "I don't need a title." "You will accept protection," the envoy replied. "Because the galaxy will now watch you." The envoys turned and left. When the door sealed, the chamber felt warmer. Safer. Sarenth lowered her head until it touched the floor before Jonas. "Not submission. Respect." "You did not ask for power," she said. "That is why you can stand near it." Jonas shook his head, overwhelmed. I just didn't want him to be alone. Aelin shifted and reached out with a small claw, touching Jonas's sleeve. Light flowed gently around his hand. Not binding. Not claiming. Just connection. Jonas smiled, tears burning his eyes. Hey, he whispered. Far beyond the station words spread. Not of conquest. Not of fear. But of a choice. The galaxy had measured worth by power for too long. In one quiet chamber it learned something new. Sometimes worth is proven by who stays when leaving is easier. Years passed but the story did not fade. In a quiet system far from crowded trade routes, a living sanctuary drifted through open space. It was not built for war or control. It was built for care. Soft light filled its halls and wide windows showed calm stars instead of dead ones. At the heart of the sanctuary rested a great dragon named Thalmyra. Her scales shone with calm strength, and her wings were wide and whole. Beside her stood her grown child, Eärendil, no longer small, no longer weak. His presence gently shaped the space around him. Ships passing nearby felt steadier. Systems ran smoother. Panic eased without anyone knowing why. And near them walked a human. His name was Oren Feld. He wore no special uniform now. Just simple clothes easy to move in. He carried tools, not weapons. He checked walls, adjusted lights, and made sure nothing was forgotten. To the galaxy, this place was known as a turning point. Long ago, humans had been listed as minor beings. Useful. Replaceable. Quiet workers in large machines. But after what happened here, that record no longer fit. Delegates came from many systems. They did not arrive with demands. They arrived with questions. How did the child survive? Why did the balance respond to a human? What did you do differently? Oren never gave long answers. I stayed, he would say. I listened. I didn't rush. Some found that answer frustrating. Others found it unsettling. Thalmyra watched these visitors with calm eyes. She remembered the day she had begged and been ignored. She remembered the cold halls and turned backs. And she remembered one human who did not measure worth before acting. One day a council envoy arrived alone. No guards. No armor. Just presence. You changed interstellar policy, the envoy said to Oren. Oren shrugged slightly. I didn't mean to. Humans are now requested as caretakers, the envoy continued. Not because of strength. Because of restraint. Oren looked toward Eärendil, who was resting near a window, light flowing around him in slow waves. He taught me that, Oren said. The envoy watched the dragon. Your species does not dominate, it said. You protect. Oren smiled faintly. We try. Later, as the station lights dimmed into a soft cycle, Thalmyra spoke to the gathered visitors. Her voice carried without force, reaching every corner. The galaxy did not change because of power, she said. It changed because one being refused to decide that a life was too small. Eärendil stepped forward then. His voice was young but steady. I am not a symbol, he said. I am alive because someone believed I should be. Silence followed. Not empty. Respectful. Records were rewritten after that day. Not loudly. Not all at once. But carefully. Humans were no longer listed only under labor roles. A new word appeared beside their name in many databases. Custodians. Caretakers. Those who stay. Oren never asked to be remembered. He continued his quiet work. Fixing. Cleaning. Waiting when needed. Sometimes new mothers came to the sanctuary. Not only dragons. Other species. Beings whose young did not fit charts or expectations. They came not for advanced machines but for time. And humans gave it. Far across the stars, conflicts still happened. Fear still existed. But now, when a life was judged as inconvenient or unimportant, someone always remembered this story. They remembered a human who had no rank. A dragon who refused to be silent. And a child who lived because care was chosen over control. The galaxy learned that day that strength does not always look like force. Sometimes, it looks like a quiet human standing in a forgotten place, choosing not to walk away.